Essentially, the court decision says that the central government, which is socialist and left-wing led, should not have imposed measures on Madrid because they affect the fundamental rights. And as a devolved health system, to alter the fundamental rights of the residents, that falls to the Madrid regional government. That means effectively, Claire, that ban on movement, which affected 5 million residents, about 70% of the Madrid capital, and those surrounding towns, that no longer applies. That also means that capacity limitations in shops and restaurants, they will also no longer apply. For instance, the ban on serving people in restaurants after 11 o'clock. That said, Madrid had already introduced limits and extra restrictions on about 45 neighbourhoods that they considered to be the worst affected COVID-19 neighbourhoods. Those measures will be back in place, so the Madrid residents living in one of those regions will find themselves subject to those restrictions again. In some cases, they were even tougher than that Madrid-wide lockdown. For instance, the parks and gardens were shut, and essentially anyone living there could only travel outside their neighbourhood if they had permission to do so, for instance, for a work reason.
So restrictions introduced, just a few days later, they're lifted again by this court decision. What's the reaction been where you are to all of this?
Well, essentially, politically, the Conservative government and the Conservative National Party, the People's Party, are delighted. They say that the central left-wing government had it in for Madrid and that they've been proved right by this court decision. They say the restrictions that had been imposed would have devastated the economy, would have cost 600 million euros a week. But the residents I speak to are pretty worried, pretty confused. They say they don't really know what they can and can't do. Some of them are delighted because there's a public holiday coming up on October the 12th, and they say they will be travelling outside Madrid to enjoy that holiday. But others fear that they'll have new restrictions imposed pretty soon, because this afternoon the Madrid government is meeting with the Madrid regional government, and it may be that more restrictions are on the way. Of course, Madrid now the epicentre of Europe, with between 700 to 900 cases per 100,000 residents. Of course, that makes it double the Spanish national average and the worst region in Europe.